Klopp, I'll put him in upper.
No! Welcome back, guys, to In Off the Bar podcast. Today we have got a very fun video. Me and Stephen today are going to be making a Premier League tier list ranking the Premier League managers, the current Premier League managers from elite manager, upper echelon of manager. They're decent, mediocre and scraping at the barrel. Before we get into it, Stephen, how are you, my friend?
Not bad, mate. I'm good. Alive.
Are you looking forward to this? Because I'm expecting a difference of opinions. We already have spoke about briefly a difference of opinions on a couple. Are you looking forward to it? Because I'm buzzing for it, mate.
Oh, mate, I feel like it could go one or two ways, to be honest with you. It's either going to end up us falling out or, it's going to go crazy.
Right, I'm getting ready to block your number right now because I'm feeling like there's going to be a different opinion. But the first player is Carlo Ancelotti. Now, this guy, who's the current manager of Everton, he's won it all. He's won Serie A. He's won the Premier League. He's been at every big club you could think of. Real Madrid, AC Milan, Chelsea, now at Everton. Where would you rank him, Stephen? Give your opinion, mate. Where would you rank him?
Honestly, I think we've got to put him in elite. You have to. But I don't want to put him there. I feel like he has to go in elite. He's won everything, like you said. He's coached the best players. He's coached the best teams. He has,
Well, you know what, mate? The beauty of actually being the person behind the tier list is, sometimes I might even completely disregard your opinion and just put the manager straight in. And I'm down for elite manager. The reason, as you said, he's won everything, right? Whilst he is at Everton, he has won everything there is to be pretty much a manager. He's won Champions Leagues. He's won, a Serie A. He's won the Premier League. How can you not be an elite manager if you've won that? Right? How are you ever going to be an elite manager, right, in the future, right, with a record like that? What does that say to other managers? For me, he's an elite manager. End of discussion. End of discussion.
Like I said, he's an elite manager. You've got to put him there, but I don't know. For some reason, I want to put him one tier down, so I don't put him on the same level as the other two that I put in there. The other three I put in there. But no, we'll put him as elite.
For me, he's a elite, mate. Right, Mikel Arteta now. Very good 6 months, first 6 months at Arsenal. Won the FA Cup. Seemed to sort of capture the love for Arsenal again at the beginning of these 6 months. Now, this season hasn't really gone down too well. They're sitting in the lower half of the Premier League. Right, they've lost quite a few games. They have started to get a bit of a run. Where would you rank Mikel Arteta?
I think he's a decent manager, and that's at a push because we've only seen him at Arsenal. I don't think he won an FA Cup. He got there and they was halfay there already, right? So he kind of just finished the last.
I'm not having this, mate.
Right, but I think he's a good tactical manager, but he's no more than decent. He hasn't proved himself to be upper. He's not mediocre, but I don't think.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with putting him in decent manager. Yeah, I feel like mediocre and scraping at the barrel. They're like when you get a loaf of bread and you've got the extra crusty bit and you just throw it in.
The tiger bread. That's the
they're the managers we're on about. I'm talking about a decent manager who's come in and you say about halfway to the FA Cup. They had to face Chelsea, Manchester City, right at Wembley, right? So it's not like they've faced Doncaster, Shrewsbury, and he's walked himself to an FA Cup final, right? He has played some of the biggest teams in England. For me, he's a decent manager, right? He's a decent manager. Yes, he's going through a tough period. I feel like putting him in a mediocre would be a bit, it wouldn't be disrespect.
It's too harsh, I think.
In theory, he hasn't really done much, right? He's only been a manager for a year, but in the year he has been, he's won an FA Cup. Yes, Arsenal ain't performing that well, but I feel like mediocre would be a little bit too much disrespect. I'm putting decent manager. Decent manager. Now, the media darling, Marcelo Bielsa. Where do I go? If this guy was English, he'd get slated, right?
100%.
In terms of elite manager, he's won nothing in the game. Upper echelon of manager, he's won nothing in the game. For me, again, he's a decent manager.
100% agree, mate.
I get it. I do get it that managers like Pep Guardiola, they always mention about, we got inspiration from Marcelo Bielsa. However, he's won nothing in football. He's been at quite a few clubs where when it's tough, when the game gets tough, he seems to leave the club. And for me, he's only really been at a club. The longest he's been at a club is like 3 seasons, and I think it's now league. He was at Atletico Bilbao for a similar period of time. For me, he's a decent manager. Whilst he gets so many plaudits because they're passing it out from the back at Tottenham when they're losing 3-0 and they're conceding goals. Whilst their Leeds are doing very, very, very well in the Premier League, I think he's a decent manager. Right?
A couple of things I'll touch on there. People say, he's got to be up there because, our Pep said he likes him. But Paul Scholes' probably favourite player was someone he's 10 times better than. Just because he idolises him doesn't make him better. And then another thing that annoys the hell out of me with Leeds and Marcel Bielsa is that when Leeds play and they're 5-0 down, managers are like, they're so exciting to watch. They're so brave. They're not brave. They're 5-0 down. It's idiotic. The way they play is silly because they either concede 5 or they score 5.
Yep, I would agree. Now, Big Sam. Big Sam. Well, hello.
I want to take this one because I know where you're going to put him.
We both...
I think he's mediocre.
Palace. You support Crystal Palace. I support West Ham. Right? We've both experienced what it's like to be under Sam Allardyce. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
For me, I'm going mediocre. Now, I wouldn't say. Well, I don't know. Actually, I know because I feel like you've got to have a little bit of realism. Right? Okay. He has kept up. Right? Every Premier League team he's been at. He was at Everton where they were like struggling. They were 17th. They finished 8th. Now, in terms of the kind of manager you're getting someone who, he can sort of sustain football clubs and sort of keep them level. And then when you're at that time where you want to push on, you've got to look for someone. Now, scraping at the barrel, mediocre. For me, if we had a category in between these two, I would. I feel like mediocre. Is Big Sam in the same category as Mikel Arteta and Marcelo Bielsa, because that's where we've put them in. That's what the thing is.
I think I was going to say mediocre first, but now I think about it, what people get Big Sam in for is to survive, right? And every time they get him in to survive, he does his job. He completes his job and he does it. And with Palace, with other teams, he doesn't just beat survival. A lot of the time, he gets them a lot higher than survival. So I think to do the job that he does, and that's what they get him in for, he's got to be decent because he does his job.
Right, okay. I'll say decent. He can easily...
He's a lower level of decent, but he's still a decent manager.
Yeah. I feel like there's different levels of decent, as we said, with because a lot of people will be like, oh, well, you're saying he's on the same level as Bielsa. No, Bielsa, I think, is a better manager. But, in terms of the categories, then I feel like they're probably in a similar category, but for different reasons, for completely different reasons. Now, Brendan Rodgers, someone we spoke about briefly off air. I know what you want to say, right? You want to say elite manager. Now, for me, to be an elite manager, you need to have won things in football. We've got the most likely names that are going to be in elite manager category, and you have got to be, you've at least got to have won a couple of trophies. Now, don't get me wrong, Brendan Rodgers is a very, very good manager. What he's done at Leicester, what he's done at Celtic, what he done at Liverpool, where he almost won the league. This guy has clearly got talent, and he's only 1 or 2 trophies away from, becoming an elite manager. He needs a couple of trophies under his belt before I call him elite manager. But he is the first person in upper echelon of manager.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I'd like to put him elite manager just because I like Brendan. I like the way his teams play. And I feel like he's proved himself. He was at Liverpool. He didn't really he almost won the league, but I feel like it wasn't convincing at the same time. He didn't go to Celtic. Everyone was like, well, he's going to walk the league anyway. I could go in there and walk that league personally, I think, as the manager of Celtic. And he's come to Leicester, and after Claudio Ranieri, you thought it couldn't get better for Leicester. And I think now he's put them as like a considerable, maybe top 6 team in the Prem, and they're consistently up there for me. But he's definitely upper at a minimum.
Yeah. He's got an argument. I think he's got an argument for in the future to be a elite manager. In front of the moment, now Steve Bruce, look at him. Really lovely. No, I don't. I'm
not going to argue. I don't think he's doing a bad job. I think it could be worse for Newcastle, but I don't think he's a great manager at all. I don't know. I'm going to put mediocre. I feel like, scraping at the barrel, I feel like maybe a little bit too harsh. Again, it's one of those, we have to be assertive, Ben, be assertive. Scraping at the barrel, we've done it. Scraping at the barrel, Steve Bruce. He's got to be there.
his football is just dire. Let's be honest.
I don't even know his style of play.
But the thing is, yeah, like people are going to compare these two. They're going to be like, well, Steve Bruce and Sam Allardyce could be classed as similar kind of managers in terms of the way they play. But for me, there's something about Steve Bruce that I just don't like. And how
many times has he been relegated with his clubs as well? He's been there.
Yeah, that's true. Now, David Moyes, the Messiah, as you can see, I support West Ham, right? I support West Ham. David Moyes, for me, done very well at Everton. Got given a Manchester United job. Now, Sir Alex Ferguson, very briefly, because we could go on for ages about this. Sir Alex Ferguson, aging squad, right? Poison chalice, they call it, their Manchester United job. There's only been a couple of successful managers like Jose Mourinho since Sir Alex Ferguson has left. For me, David Moyes, yes, he made a couple of wrong decisions in terms of going to Spain, in terms of Sunderland. But for me, being a West Ham fan, what he's done for West Ham and stabilised us and getting us fitter and working hard, for me, he's going to decent manager. What would you say?
You got to put him one down for me. Mediocre. Like
you think David Moyes is mediocre?
100%. I don't know. I don't know what it is about David Moyes. Like you said about Steve Bruce, there's something I don't like about David Moyes. Right? I think he's done a very good job. He's got your players playing again. When he first come in and the first few games, he was a bit iffy. He was a bit like, oh, is he even going to last the season when he first got the job? And then this season, he's proper got you guys playing. He's got his new Fellaini. He's brought in players on the
disrespect, man. New Fellaini. That's disrespect to bloody Souček, mate.
But Souček is playing that Fellaini role. He's defensive, but he's up there. He's scoring goals. He's brought players in like Soufal for cheap price. Got them playing like they're like a £20 million player, and he bought him for like what, $5 million. By the looks of things, you'll eventually get another striker in. I think. Yeah, I'd say put him as a decent manager only off of the back of what he's done at Everton.
I'll put him as a decent manager. I'll support West Ham. And he's a decent manager, Stephen.
Doesn't matter, because when it comes to the Palace manager, he's going somewhere else.
Right. Dean Smith. Now, Dean Smith, I actually think he's a decent manager. But when you're actually... Well, I say... He doesn't have enough managerial experience to probably warrant him putting in a decent manager. And I think he is a decent manager, but does that make sense, right? But he probably doesn't have enough managerial experience behind him to put him in that
Stevie's not long enough.
And then you've got Arteta also, who doesn't have enough managerial experience. But the reason why I've put him in there is because he has shown signs of winning the FA Cup, of being tactically very flexible. Aston Villa are having a very good season. I feel like mediocre, again, is harsh. It's harsh, but what I've seen from him, like, the thing is, they spent 100 million the first season in the Premier League, right? They got it wrong. They spent another 100 million, and now they're doing very well. They've bought in the right areas. I want to say decent, but also want to say we've got to put someone in mediocre. Is he the first one in mediocre?
The thing is, I think he's in. Nah, I think he's the same as Big Sam. Like, I feel like he's the bottom.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I feel like it's unfair to say we've got to put him in mediocre because he hasn't had a long enough career. Because I feel like for what he has done so far, he's done well. He's got an Aston Villa side playing very well for a team that's just come up. Like you said, last time they came and spent 100 million, they went down. So it's obviously not the money, it's the manager, and I think you've got to put him in decent if you're harsh not to.
Yeah, Burnley. I think this is a pretty simple one. I think decent manager.
I was going to say mediocre.
Nah, the thing is, man, like, he's kept Burnley in this Premier League for I don't know how many seasons now, but the amount of money they've spent in terms of compared to every single Premier League club, this guy has got Burnley into Europe with the team that they've had, like with Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes up front. For me, you're a decent manager if you're doing that. You're a decent manager. You're not an upper echelon manager, but you're certainly a decent manager. Like, if we're putting Sam Allardyce in this, mate, as a decent manager, then, obviously, as we said, like, these are decent managers in their own right, in their own, sort of ways. For me, you got to put him in decent manager. Now, Pep Guardiola, mate, pretty simple one, I think.
Elite manager, isn't it? Do we even need to talk about it?
The only bone that I've got with Guardiola, that, whilst it looks like he has sorted out the Man City defence with Ruben Diaz, he has spent a lot of money doing it. He spent like 400 or 500 million on defenders in total, which is an absolute crazy amount. But at the end of the day, you cannot deny what this guy's won in football. Now, again, we've actually got back-to-back elite managers. Jurgen Klopp, for me, he's the best manager in the league because of the reasons what he's done at Dortmund, rebuilding the club. Whilst he has spent money, he has spent hardly nowhere near the amount of money that Pep Guardiola spent, and also the amount of money that Liverpool spent. You could arguably say that a good half of it has been generated throughout sales. You know, they've ripped off Bournemouth. They must have sold like Solanke, you know,
35 million.
Jordan Ibe in total for like £40 million. So for me, yeah, Jurgen Klopp obviously won the Premier League. Yeah, elite manager.
It's one second. It still picks up on me that you call him the best manager in the league. I just can't have it. I can't end that section there because you can only say he's the best manager in the league for the past 2 seasons. Yes, he got to Champions League final, right? But he then goes and wins it. He was known for losing finals. You can't be one of the best managers to be known at losing finals. So he then goes and wins the Champions League 2 seasons ago. He wins Liverpool their first title. He's elite, but for consistency, Pep Guardiola is the best manager in the league, and I don't think you can argue that.
Mate, if Jurgen Klopp had Guardiola's teams, yeah, Klopp would have the same amount of trophies, right? Would Guardiola have the same amount of trophies as Klopp if Guardiola was in Klopp's shoes in terms of rebuilding the team? There's been no signs of building or rebuilding a team or there's only a couple of examples of making a player better. For example, Sterling. Guardiola's made Sterling a bit better in terms of his finishing and his goal out. But John Stones, yes, he's had a good 8 weeks, but generally he's been pissed off.
Fernandinho, he's made him into a We'll move on.
Moving on, Stephen. Frank Lampard. Looks like he's about to get sacked, which is a whole different video. For me,
go on, you go.
The thing is, I want to put him in decent, right? I want to put him in decent, but at the same time, he spent 200 million. But the thing is, the problem with Lampard is he overachieved in the first season. Everyone thought they'd finish 7th or 6th or something, right, in the first season with using the youngsters. He finished 4th, and that's his problem. Then everyone thought, oh, well, if he can finish 4th with youngsters, imagine what if they spend 200 million. Or the thing is, I've seen signs where he's decent, right? He's decent. But the thing is, look at that decent column. That is getting bigger and bigger. And we need to put something in there. What do you reckon? Decent or mediocre? He's no higher than decent. Absolutely no higher.
I think he's got to go decent. I don't think you put him mediocre. Mediocre's harsh. I think the whole thing was spending 200 million. He's been there for 2 seasons, right? And he spent 200 million. If you even it out, it works out so far at 100 million a season on average, right? First season, I do think he overachieved, but I think he's done very well with that squad. I feel like the players he's brought in, I feel like Timo's turning into another Fernando Torres. I feel like they've spent the money. He was good elsewhere. He's come in here and he's just not doing it for Chelsea. Kai Havertz, I don't really have any quarrels with him because I think he's still young. Yes, they paid a lot of money for him. But that is a price tag on his head. That's not his fault. I think the youngsters are still looking like the best players in the squad. As much as I don't like Mason Mount, I think he's looking like one of the best players in their squad as well. I think to put him in mediocre would be too harsh. It's the same. If you're putting him in mediocre, you've got to put Arteta in mediocre. So I think he's got to stay decent.
All right, Jose Mourinho, elite.
Elite, without a doubt.
Elite. One, again, if whilst his record lately in terms of winning trophies probably hasn't been as good as previous years. At the end of the day, he's won Champions Leagues, he's won Premier Leagues, he's won, La Ligas. I think with Real Madrid, he's won Serie A's, the treble with Inter Milan. This guy's won everything. So for me, pretty simple, elite. Now, Nuno Espirito Santo. For me, he's an upper echelon of manager. Now, really? the thing is, I think he's upper echelon. I don't think he's actually as good as Brendan Rodgers. I think Brendan Rodgers is a better manager, but I do think that he's a very, very good manager that, again, is only a couple... he needs to win a trophy or so. This guy, whilst I think he has spent a lot of money and, Wolves have probably got very good links in terms of, agents, of power agents and getting the right Portuguese players, I still think he's an upper echelon manager. I think he's better than everyone in the decent column, in my opinion.
See, the thing is, I've got a mate who, for some reason, dislikes Wolves, and ever since I've been listening to him, I kind of get it. I don't think their football's particularly pretty. I think they are very much who do I compare it to? Kind of like when Big Sam took over Everton, they kind of play dirty football, but they get results. And I feel like for what he's doing and how he's getting Wolves there, yes, he is upper, but at the same time, I think he's lower upper. I feel like he's pushing on the verge between decent and upper for me.
Right, next up, I just switched them about. Graham Potter. Now, for me, this is our first mediocre.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason why I say that is because, yes, I do understand that he's improved the style of play at Brighton, but results have suggested, well, last season they were in a relegation battle. This season they're in a relegation battle. At the end of the day, whilst he has improved their style of playing, you've only got to look at the Brighton goal that they scored against Leeds. It was absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure if you saw the goal. But for me, he has not shown enough in the Premier League just yet to be, for me, right, he's a decent manager. So for me, I think he's our first mediocre.
I think he's mediocre. One, he's the Brighton manager, so he's got to go there.
Well,
anyway.
yeah, obviously Crystal Palace.
But no, I think what you said, he's got him playing better. No, I don't think you can put him there because I think he's got him playing well, but that doesn't mean that suits that team. Because, for example, the ball came into Palace. He tried to play this nice, fancy passing football with the players that you had, and you can't be playing that football because them players can't do that. And I think it's the same with Brighton. I feel like he's trying to play football that's higher than the level of players that he has.
Yeah. I think there's potential to be decent. I think there's potential. Definitely. But, right now I feel like he hasn't done that much in terms of results. And then results are what matters. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for me, decent manager, no more.
Yeah, decent manager.
Decent manager. I feel like whilst he has turned results around at Manchester United, he's been in a similar category in terms of Arteta, Lampard, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, you could say he got the job on a technicality, right? Because he's a legend. Same with Lampard. Whilst Arteta isn't an Arsenal legend, you could argue because he was at Manchester City and because he played for Arsenal, he got the Arsenal job. For me, whilst it's going rosy for Manchester United, right at the moment, there's been a lot of top periods throughout his Man United tenure when you could have said, right, this guy's going to get sacked, right? But for me, decent manager, no more.
Yeah, he's a decent manager. I think what he went through is what Lampard's going through now. I feel like it's a process. It's a rebuild. All the clubs are doing it. Arsenal have been rebuilding for God knows how long. Chelsea are rebuilding and United are going through it. And United are starting to look like, considering not anyone's really here because it's the amount of form at the minute in the Premier. They're looking like they could be a top 3, possibly top 2 team this season, possibly even win the league. So he's got to be decent. Yeah.
Ralph Husenthal, right, or whatever you say his name.
Hasenhüttl.
Yeah, there we go. You know the pronunciation. Now, for me, I'm putting upper echelon. And the reason why, right, is because, firstly, I think he plays a very nice style of football, but this guy lost 9-0 to Leicester, right, in one of the biggest defeats ever in Premier League history. And there was rumours, right, he's going to get sacked. And he has turned it around, right, to play a very nice style of football. And Southampton are sitting in Europa League spots, right, or thereabouts, okay? For me, again, he is someone who I think has got potential. Again, like, if I put him in the same category, I'm not saying that these two are on par with Brendan Rodgers. Because if there was like almost like half a category, like, I feel Brendan Rodgers is like floating in between elite manager and upper echelon, where these two are fully in upper echelon / decent. Do you know what I mean? Right? But I just feel like this guy has shown some promise with Southampton, and he's also been linked with big jobs at the moment, mainly Chelsea. I think this guy, again, if I'm putting Nuno here, I'm putting Ralph. What's his name, Ralph? Hasenhüttl. Put your. What do you
I don't think you can put him as an upper because I think if you're putting him upper, I think you've got to put Ollie upper because I feel like they're kind of doing. Yes, he's got a lower league team and he's overachieving with that team. They're playing very well, but they have got some very good players. But I think to put him upper. Yeah, but he's not shown signs. He's not got anyone into a Europa League. He's not got anyone into Champions League like Brendan Rodgers has, like Nuno has. I feel like he's on the same level as Ollie. I feel like he's teetering on the edge of upper, but I feel like he is not upper for me. But if you want to put him there, I'll let you put him there. But I think it's a push.
I think if I'm looking at this, he's a better manager than Mikel Arteta for me, right?
Yep.
Bielsa's the only one that you could possibly argue could be up here, right? Yeah. He could be up here. He's the only one out of this category, right? Big Sam could either go here. Dean Smith, decent. Yeah, for me, we can't do half a category. So he's either got to be in, out, or you know what I mean? Not in, out, shake it all about. He's got to be either in or out.
I think he's got
We'll think about it because we can adjust it, right? Yeah. We can adjust it very quickly. Now, Roy Hodgson.
Mate, let me just he's got to go scraping at the barrel. If there was a lower category, he'd be even lower. I feel like
Bear in
he
mind,
is
you are a Crystal
a
Palace
dinosaur.
fan. There's a bit of,
I'm a Palace
you know,
fan, yeah. For me, he's a dinosaur. I feel like the way he plays, I could go on for hours about this. This could be a whole episode. But the way he plays, we have no identity. There's no plan B. We just sit back and all we do is counter. And he puts all of our creative players out on the left or out on the right because he wants to sit with 2 defensive or 3 defensive midfielders. He makes like-for-like subs. He will bring on 2 strikers when we're 4-0 down in the 85th minute, right? And it makes no sense. He doesn't want to sign anyone. All the youngsters get pushed out on loan. He brings in all these old geezers. We got a club, which this isn't his fault. All these players are soon out of contract, but they're all 30 plus. Like average age is like 31. There's it could go on for ages. I don't think he's even pushing mediocre. If anything, he's pushing going lower than scraping at the barrel. For me, he's got to be sacked. But yeah, he shouldn't even be in the chart. He shouldn't be in the list. I can't stand Roy Hodgson, but he's scraping at the barrel. I don't know what you think about him, but that's my
yeah. To be fair, let's be honest, he fouled at England, he fouled at Liverpool. Palace, I feel like it's more like 50-50 in terms of he's fouled, but he's had like a decent season with them before. England, Liverpool, who else was there? The only real good seasons I can remember of Roy Hodgson, was Fulham back in the day when they had Zamora, and they beat England. And stuff, and Zoltan Gera, I think his name is, and those kind of players. And if I was to think of a season, it would be that. But considering this guy's fouled at England, we got knocked out by Iceland. Remember that, right?
Yeah.
Crystal Palace fouled at Liverpool. Yeah, I would agree, scraping at a barrel. Now Scott Parker, I feel like Scott Parker, whilst he won promotion with Fulham, right? He's again similar to Graham Potter. I think they've got a fantastic style of football going on, and I think Fulham will stay up. I've seen a lot of signs, especially in the last couple of weeks, that these guys will stay up. However, for me, he is in mediocre
100%.
just because I have not seen enough in terms of Premier League quality, right? If he keeps Fulham up, I feel like he can build, and then next season he could be decent. But right now, right, it's a results-based business. They're in the relegation zone. I think they'll get out of it because I've seen enough from Fulham that would suggest that I think they'll get out of it. For me, mediocre.
I agree. I feel like there's another manager who got the job because of his name. He played for Fulham. He gets the job. So he's a bit like Lampard, Arteta, and Solskjaer. I feel like all of them are kind of in the same category a little bit. Not as in the sense of this tier, but they've all just got the job on a technicality, like you said. I feel like he's got them playing finally. They haven't exactly got the best squad in the league. They might have one of the worst squads in the league. But I do feel like they will stay up, like you said, and I feel like there is potential for eventually, if they stay up, sign a few more players and get in that decent manager bracket.
Yeah. Now, the final one, right, Chris Wilder. Now, they finished 10th, right? Now, whilst they are doing absolutely dreadful, right, I feel like, right, he's one of those. I don't think he's a guaranteed scraping at the barrel because I do think Chris Wilder's a good manager because... they finished 10th last season or 8th or 9th or 11th. Sheffield United, they done very well. However, they've got a championship squad. They've got championship players, and I feel like they found out this season. And I feel like Sheffield United are out of every single Premier League club in terms of not having the support of Bramall Lane behind them because of lockdown. They've been the club that have been affected the most, right?
Yep.
In terms of having that atmosphere, in terms of the fans being pretty much the 12th man. So I kind of want to put him in mediocre, but then because of how bad they're doing, and they're probably on track to being the worst Premier League team ever, you probably have to put him scraping at the barrel.
I think he's got to go scraping at the barrel. I feel like I said with Roy Hodgson, it looks like they came in, they played very attacking football for a championship side, like you said. They had centre-backs bombing down wings, putting balls in, getting striker positions. I feel like they come to the second season, everyone knows how Sheffield United now play. Everyone counters it, they can't play. And it seems like they've got no plan B. They don't know how else to play. Right. They don't know how to get results. Like you said, they look like they're being the worst manager. I feel like they overachieved, definitely. And I don't think, I feel like you said, he's kind of pushing more bottom mediocre, but I feel like because, as you said, they look like they could have one of the worst seasons in Premier League history and be one of the worst teams in Premier League history. I think they've got to go scraping at the barrel.
Right. Little bonus, right? I think what each of us, we can basically alter one manager from each. Okay, so we can basically adjust their category, right? So out of all these managers, which one would you change and put them in a different category, for example?
Klopp, I'll put him in upper.
No,
I'm joking. No, I'm joking.
No.
I'm joking. I'll joke. I would put. Who would I want to change? I feel like I want to put Sean Dyche in mediocre.
You want to put Sean Dyche in mediocre? Not Big Sam.
No, not Big Sam. I think the reason why Big Sam's a decent manager, as I said, he gets brought in to do a certain job. He does his job.
Is that 100%? Yeah.
100%.
Right. Okay.
Right. I feel like Big Sam, like I said, gets brought in to do his job. He does his job, and then he gets moved on because they then want to go on to bigger things, which I get. Sean Dyche, for me, right? They play ugly football. They play Stoke City football, as you want to call it. They're a very rigid 4-4-2, sit back kind of. They do what Palace should do, but we are terrible. And I feel like there's never been much progression with the squad. I feel like when you're a Premier League club, you come in and you try and stay up, you defend, and you season by season you get further and further and further and further up. And I feel like they've not progressed. One season, yes, they got to Europa League, but they couldn't hack it. Everyone knew they wouldn't be able to hack it. They hadn't got the squad for it. And like I said, I feel like there's been no progression for him to be a decent manager.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel like your choice has sort of influenced my decision, because I was going to put Bielsa in upper echelon, but for me, if you are putting Sean Dyche in mediocre, you've got to put Big Sam in mediocre. Because, for me, Sean Dyche, considering him, as I said earlier, considering the amount of money he has spent, he has got Burnley into Europa League football and finished 7th, spending 2 or 3 million quid each summer. Right? You have to be a decent manager in order to do that. And as I said, I was going to put Marcelo Bielsa here, right? But because you have put Sean Dyche in mediocre, I'm dropping Big Sam down to mediocre. There's no way that Big Sam is a better manager, in my opinion, than Sean Dyche. No chance. No, I'm not having it. But overall, I'm pretty happy with what we selected.
Yeah, I'm happy. The one thing I probably would have changed if it weren't for Sean Dyche, I'd bring Hasenhüttl down. But at the same time, I understand why you put him up there, because I do think in a few years to come, if he goes to a bigger club, he's going to get the plaudits that he deserves. But yeah, I feel like when you're playing negative football and it's not pretty. I know results are results. They're 3 points. You get a point, whatever. It keeps you from going down. But I guess, as you said with Big Sam, he comes and does what he does. But yeah, there's no progression. They play the same style, and it's boring, isn't it? And yeah. I'm happy with it. I'm very happy.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. So, guys, that is going to be the end of the video. Make sure in the comment section down below, let us know who would you put in what category and put why. Hit the like button for more videos. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll catch you next time. See you later.